Good morning, everyone. It's been a minute since I've been able to do an actual post about my garden. It has been a minute. Glad to be back on here. I've been super busy, but thank you guys for taking time out and spending time with me in the garden today. Today I will be off camera as I do look a little tired, so I won't put you guys through the oh my gosh, what's wrong with her. I just wanted to do a quick span of my garden and show you guys what I'm growing this year. So this year I tried to tailor my garden directly to the things that we actually eat. So that way nothing goes to waste because last year, by me being the only person that eats tomatoes, a lot of my tomatoes went to waste. They're still not necessarily went to waste. I have a bunch of them in the freezer still. So I wanted to kind of scale that back and be able to, grow things that I know for sure that we use a lot of. So I try to be, a little better at figuring that out this year. As I'm talking to you right now, I do see a squash bug that I'm about to get here shortly because it's hanging around one of the new plants that I just started growing. So I'm gonna go in here and get started with that. Sorry, I had to get rid of it real quick because I don't want it going through and eating anything up this year. So I'm going to go ahead and get started showing you guys what I've grown this year. So first off, I just want to say if you guys have not checked out some of the other shops as far as garden stores, make sure you do so. Again, this isn't a sponsored um, video. It's just simply to let you know what I've purchased from these shops and how well everything has been going thus far. So I'll go ahead and get started with everything. So first off, I have purchased some new things added to my garden this year. So I've purchased some fruit trees because I want to increase our fruit intake. So I have one already here and a few more on the way that haven't made it, but it will be here this week. And I wanted to make sure we love raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, and I love blueberries. So I wanted to kind of incorporate that into the garden this year because last year I really didn't focus much on that. So without any more talking, before I get started with that, so check out my gardener. They may still have some plants on sale as far as some root plants so that you can go ahead and start growing everything as far as your fruit and asparagus. They do have that. He has marked down the prices on a lot of that because it's about end of the selling season for that. So go check him out. I just went back in there and purchased a few more of the raspberry roots, mainly because they were like $2 and $3. So I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Plus, I mean, I think it's a very good deal. So the price has been reduced. I think when I first purchased it, it may have been like $10 or a little bit more than that. So go check it out. Anyway, another place that I've purchased some my fruit trees is Stark Brothers. They're having a sale as well, so I did. I'll go in there and order a few more things. I ordered a Granny Smith lemon and a lime tree. I attempted to order a lemon tree from Gurney's, but for some reason I ordered it on May the 11th and it was still saying item has not shipped. And every time I went in to check the dates for it, it was pushed back further and further and further. So, as far as them even shipping it out, it looks like they said something to the point of June 20th. And I was like, no. So I canceled that order and went into Stark Brothers and ordered a lemon and a lime and a Granny Smith. And they'll be here this week. So, Stark Brothers really good thus far. But I'll show you. I'll go ahead and stop talking and show you what all I have. So this year, I kind of started in with a lot, like I said, of actual fruit. So this is one of the Latham Raspberries. So originally I purchased this one right here, and then when he dropped the price on it, I went back and purchased that one. So you can see that it's starting to have some growth on there as well. And I grow them in pots because they do to me better in pots, and I can kind of control the pest when it's in pots. Also, I purchased the Ann raspberry from his store. Again, I purchased one, and then when he dropped the price, I went back and purchased another. So I do have those in there together, so that they can actually, rub against each other and pollinate that way. So won't have to worry about that. Also, I ordered a double gold. This is a raspberry as well, so it'll give like that orange, and so will the Ann raspberry. It's kind of, this one is like a darker orange. So as you can see, the one that's sprouting, poultry right now is the one that I purchased first, and then I went back and purchased another one again because the price was dropped. Now in this container I have my mint. It's not doing as well because this mint has been growing since I started gardening about 2 years ago. So I had mint in a raised bed and I tried to contain it, but of course it got out of control and the whole bed pretty much took over, was taken over by mint. So I pulled all of it and just discarded it because it was just too much mint, and I had already had some frozen. So in this container right here, this particular plant right here is also I think it's a raspberry plant as well. I did not label it, but I did get that from my gardener as well. So that way, I can have an abundant amount of raspberries again. I think we go through a container of raspberries within like a day or so, because they're so loved. And this right here is a blackberry. I purchased it last year from Lowe's. It, went through its, winter phase and it's coming back, but this is all the growth that has grown on there since it starts to come back. So hopefully I can kind of get it to grow a little bit. And this container is parsley. So this is also one of those things where it came back year after year. It looks a little scraggly. So what I did was threw some extra seeds in there and watered it well so that it can come back to life. And I also have it grown in the actual garden, raised beds. So in this container I do have corn. So I planted about 6 or more. This is the only one that has come up thus far, and it looks to be pretty healthy. So I did get that seed. I did start it from seed, and I did get that from my gardener. Looking in the pot, I don't see that anything else has come up just as yet, but I'm hopeful. And over here, this is my crook neck squash pot, and that's one of the reasons why I went ahead and killed the actual squash bug, because last year when I planted my crookneck squash in the garden raised beds, I was lucky if I got maybe 2 or 3 squash before they just completely killed the plant. So I kind of want to have a little bit more control. But I will be putting a actual tomato cage over these so that they don't fall over. So right now I have 3. One is looking a little, maybe it won't last, but these 2 here thus far are doing pretty well. And I did plant more in there, again, just with the hopes of having more. So if more come up, I may be able to move them to a separate actual bag. Now, this plant right here kind of looks sad to me, and I did purchase it from Lowe's. Nothing against Lowe's plants, but I think I'm at my last, this will be my last time I've ever purchased like bare root plants from Lowe's. And again, nothing against Lowe's. This, my go-to place, but when I don't have enough time to start by seed, but it's not looking too well. So this is a blackberry. It's starting to have new growth come on, which is great, and that happened within the last week. So this is a blackberry plant, and I'm hopeful that it starts to do something a little bit, and I do see like a little growth going on there. Now This is also raspberry. They're the prelude, and I did get those from my gardener. And again, this was the first one that I purchased, and of course, because he dropped the price on it, I did go back and purchase another one. So it has yet to sprout, but it's doing pretty good. So over in this raised bed is a raised bed that my daughter and I kind of came up with. I knew that I wanted a blueberry plant, but I didn't know what all I wanted to go in there. So what I did was I purchased this blueberry plant from Lowe's, and it's producing. The berries aren't that big, so I did a little bit of research and found that when you purchase fruit trees or plants, they do better when there is another one in there. It increases the size of the berries. So I went to my gardener and found a Chandler bare root blueberry, and I planted it in with that. So hopefully my berries get a little bit bigger. They started out bigger, and then it just kind of like went away for some reason. But in this bed also I have like a variety of flowers for the pollinators. Now I'm not really a flower person as far as growing flowers, but this year I decided to give put my hand in the dirt and start growing flowers. So but they're doing pretty well. So some of these flowers, a lot of them my daughter picked out because she really loved the colors. Of course, I do have the marigolds in here, and I have them in here to deter the rabbits, because we do have a rabbit that kind of comes through my yard and goes crazy with eating my brassicas and everything. So but also in this raised bed I had some extra strawberry bare roots, so I did plant some in there as well, just to kind of fill those spots. I was going to fill the spots with actual flowers, but again, we love strawberries, at least I know my daughter does, so I just kind of want to increase that yield for her. So they're pretty much all in here. This is the first one to kind of come to life here. The rest of them are thinking about it. So that's what that bed looks like. Also, I wanted to make sure that I had some type of natural first aid or lotion or something like that, because I do have naturally dry skin. I found that a lot of the lotions with the perfumes and everything aggravate my migraines, so I definitely don't like to use a lot of that. So what I did was I went on a hunt and found a aloe vera plant, which I have been using, and I have to repot this. But it has a lot of growth, as you can tell from where it's been cut. I've used it. My daughter has eczema, so I've kind of used some of that on her as well. So those are the three that I've harvested from. But this is the aloe vera plant, so I do have to repot it. So that's been fun growing, and I guess I'm doing something right because it has new growth continuously coming out of it. So this year, again, like I said, there were a few things that I wanted to focus on and cook a lot more of and grow a lot more of. And in this raised bed, this used to be my raised bed for strawberry bare roots. So this year I wanted to change that. So what I did was just to put it in one particular place. And when I did that, I decided to make this my garlic grow bag. So I'm planting a lot of garlic in here, and thus far these are the ones that have come up. I've grown garlic before and been pretty successful in being able to grow large garlic heads. So hopefully more of those will start to come up, and we'll have a lot more garlic. Looks like some more are trying to break the surface here. Now earlier I did tell you that I did purchase a tree. I did purchase from Stark Brothers a pink lady. You can see it. Excuse my nails, hadn't went to the salon yet. Pink lady apple dwarf. So I know that they grow well in containers, so I did grow it in a container. So far it has not died, so I guess I'm doing something right. I don't think that the container was big enough, and I may have to up-pot this particular tree, which is fine, because I know you're not supposed to grow it, plant it to where you're hiding that. So I just wanted to make sure that I didn't, but more than likely I'll probably just But thus far, this is the dwarf version of it, and this is how big it is. If you have seen me in person, you know I'm not that tall, so this is pretty much the same height as me, sadly. But it is bringing on some growth here, so I'm hopeful that everything starts to work with this. So those are thus far my container garden, and as you can see over here, I'm still planting out everything that I want to continue to grow. So those are what I'm growing in containers, and I have a few more things that I want to put in containers, but they just have not made it here yet, the containers nor the product. So, but going over, do like a quick span of my raised beds. So they're pretty full, and I just came out here and did a little work before I decided I was going to go ahead and try to do a quick video for you guys. So over here, I've had some big issues with cabbage moths this year. For some reason, they are relentless this year, and one of the bigger bigger cabbages that I was growing, they just pretty much just not killed it. It's still growing, but I did have to treat it, and I don't like using any products on my food because I want it you know, it to be all natural. So I do come out here a lot of times by hand and pick everything off. I did not do a lot of research on how to kill them, so I did spray this one particular one with neem oil, and I hate that I did that because it just pretty much ate it. So I planted 4 cabbage plants, and as you can see, they've kind of pretty much ate the leaves all around it. So I came out here this morning and picked a bunch of them off, and made an attempt to like just put them in a paper towel and squish them. But as you can see, do not spray your cabbage plants with neem oil. This is not how it was so lush and beautiful. And I mean, although it's still creating a ball, but it's just not how I wanted it to turn out. It was very lush, just like this one, but overall they're doing well, so I just don't have to be out here almost every day checking them and picking any form of pest off of them. So in this raised bed, as you can see, this is like my Brassica bed. I do come out here when the temperatures get a little high and cover them so that they don't flower, and so that I'm able to get a good harvest. Now originally what I did was planted 4 of each, 4 cabbage on this side, and this is the again, forgive my nails, I haven't been to the shop, cabbage golden for that particular side. So that's what I planted here. And then on this side I planted the ruby red cabbage, and I planted a total of 4, but for some reason the rabbit came through. Sorry, pulling the weed. The rabbit came through and took out 1 of them, so I'm only left with 3, which still should be enough because we don't eat those a lot, so I'll probably do a lot of freezing. So I did put some marigolds in here, mainly because the rabbit was kind of going through and killing everything, or eating everything down to the nub. So I just wanted to make sure that I could protect them. Now also I did buy some onion starts. So the onions are doing really well. I did put them in the middle is to try to deter any pest or anything like that to come through. So they're doing well. We use a lot of onions and garlic in everything that I cook. I mean, like almost every meal, because I love the taste. So I did plant a lot of onions and a lot of garlic, and I'm thinking that I did not plant enough. At least I know not enough to last us throughout the year, so I may need to go back and purchase more. But that's what you see back there. Now in this bed last year, if you go back and look at my videos, this was a tomato bed. So I came through here, cleaned everything up, but of course I'm assuming not well enough, because look what we have here. guys can see that. I have a volunteer tomato plant to come up, so I have not disturbed it. I'm going to let it go on its own. It seems to be doing well. No issues with anything else inside the bed, so I'm going to let it go. And I have quite a few that came up, and this is one of the cauliflower plants. As you can see, I pulled it because the rabbit ate it all the way down to the stem, and it has not come back. So again, I planted 4 cauliflower plants because we love cauliflower, and I only have 1 left. It ate 3. So hopefully I'm able to get a lot of cauliflower from that one. And again, I have like a lot of onions and everything throughout this bed, and I also planted more marigolds to deter the rabbit because it was eating my broccoli plants. I have enough bugs trying to eat them, so I did not want the rabbit to take it. So I have a total of 4. It doesn't look like it because one was ate all the way down, but it did come back up, and it's this one back here, so it's fairly small. But overall, they seem to be doing well. I think this is, pull that, that's an actual weed. So they seem to be doing well, and that's one of the broccolis forming in that one, and then there's more forming there. And this one, not so much as of yet, again, because it was taken all the way down. And that one, and okay, so guys, just so you know, how you can tell that you have an intruder, meaning like a cabbage moth or something like that in your garden, the telltale signs, unfortunately, would be their droppings. So if you look in here, and I know this isn't what you want to see, but the little black speck is a dropping, and then you can kind of see, you know, the leaves, of course, have been chewed a little bit here. That's how you know you have an invader. So you kind of want to go over your plants and search them until you locate it and pick it out of there and get it out of there. So this is my first raised bed in the garden. Now over here, I have a variety of things going: beans, peppers, garlic, and of course marigolds. And I did plant more marigolds from seed, so that's what you see there, that growth there where it's coming up and it's nice and lush. So I did plant more there. So I came out here the other day and was kind of looking around. It appears that a bird or something is digging holes, because it's like just straight down. I'm assuming looking for worms, because I do have worms in my raised beds. And if you know anything about the effects of what a worm does, a worm pretty much breaks down the soil and adds good bacteria. So if you have worms in your raised bed, that's a good thing. Don't pick them out, don't throw them, let them stay, because they help your soil. So again, here I have, sorry if the sun is like really bright, a bunch of pepper plants, and I attempted to do like a Tabasco here. It has not germinated just yet, so hopefully it will soon. But I have some chili peppers, and I came out here the other day and I look over my plants on a daily basis, maybe like 2 and 3 times a day. So it's a little bit obsessive, but I just want to make sure that me and my family get the harvest that they need, or that we need. So I came out here the other day and I was looking over it, never noticed anything, and then all of a sudden I was like, hey, I have peppers growing. So this is a hot pepper. And then I looked on the other side and there's another little hot pepper. It's like, oh wow, okay, they're sprouting, they're doing well. So I have tons of flowers on here, and it looks like everything is going well with them. And back here, of course, I don't know if I said to you guys on the last video about how I feel about, what is the name of them? Now I can't even think of it. I just had a major brain fart. Oh, dragon tongue beans. Sorry. I planted a bunch of dragon tongue from seed. So they're doing really well. Looks like they're about to start setting for flowers. So all of this back here with my pepper plants are dragon tongue beans. So I wanted to make sure, and I did have one, and again, this is what the rabbit does. I did have one that completely just was ate to the nub here. Just is gone. So I had to pull it, but I did plant more in between, just so again I could have a good harvest of those, because I love them. I normally don't cook them. I just pretty much come straight out here and eat them from the garden as is. So, but over here, again, like, I had tomatoes in this raised bed last year as well. Again, I did my best to make sure that I amended the soil, but again, I have some volunteer tomato plants to pop up here. So I'm hoping that they're beefsteak. I mean, if they're beefsteak, that's really good, because I think that's the only thing I had growing here. But there is another tomato plant that volunteered itself, and there is another one. So now I have a total of 3 that came back out of nowhere. And I guess I'll have more tomatoes than I originally thought I wanted to have. But also on some of these plants, see if you can see back there, if I can get it to be angled here, right there, peppers are starting to come up, so that's really good. And again, a bunch of garlic, soft neck and hard neck in here that I had left over from my gardener. He normally starts putting it out, I think it's September-ish. So, you know, check that out, and it's really good garlic. And now in this bed, this is my 3rd bed. The other 2, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in this bed, so I was just like, okay, well, I'll start some things and I'll see where it goes. So, guys, this is crazy. So, I put flowers here, and these are the upland wildflower. So they're coming up. So a quick little story. I do not eat asparagus, but my husband loves asparagus, and I've been promising him for 2 years that I will attempt to grow asparagus for him. I finally decided to go ahead and do it. So I purchased some asparagus roots from my gardener, and I think a week later, I mean, this is the growth. So, and a trick about asparagus is you're not supposed to pick it when it first comes up. You're supposed to let it go, and then the second year of its growth is when you can start picking them. Well, originally when I purchased them, I thought I killed them because we had a cold front, and some of the roots were peeking up here. And then, you know, I watched this video and I was like, oh crap, I think I killed a lot of my asparagus, so I ordered more, and they weren't dead. So I've over purchased, and I had to, you know, put them in the ground. If you've not ever seen how an asparagus plant looks, just imagine off of Alien and Predator, how the pods opened up in this big crab leg looking thing jumped out. That's how asparagus look in their dry form. So they have like these big huge, and this is one that, you know, something keeps uncovering it, but this is how they look, like very alien like. If I can get some, there we go. But they're sprouting. They're sprouting everywhere. So I have them all over the place, and I tried to do them mainly in the front. And as you can see right here, if I can zoom in for you guys, right here, that's an asparagus that I'm letting come up, and there's more back here, and here's one, a very tall one that more than likely, you know, will go into its seed. Now, I mean, not seed, establishes roots. Now, as far as with asparagus, this is again my first year growing them, and it's been going pretty good. And I just started this year, last month, putting them in the ground. I've not ever realized how they smell. So when I was planting them, I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, yeah, I can't stand this smell. So, but I got it done. I weathered through it. And here's another one peeking through. So again, like as far as my gardening style, I do try to fill my raised beds with multiple things and multiple times. Try to make sure that the whole bed is full, and that's exactly what's happening. So I do need to thin these. These are golden beets. And again, there's another little asparagus popping up. And I have onions, red onions back here. I also planted sweet potatoes, so this is going to be interesting. I don't know how I'm going to harvest them without disturbing the roots to the asparagus, so that wasn't really thought out. Well, when I first planted the actual now I went blank again, oh my gosh, this is not funny anymore, sweet potato plants, the rabbit ate them down, so I didn't think that they were going to come back. I was just kind of like, okay, cool, they're not going to come back. I'll try again in a pot or something like that. And they came back, so yeah. And then this year I decided to try my hand with celery. I've not ever grown celery before, so this is the first year that I decided to grow celery. And guys, I just really wish you could smell this celery. Like, it's one of those things where you will never forget, but it seems to be doing really well. So I purchased a total of 4 celery plant. Well, maybe I purchased more. No, it's only 4. It's just spanning out. So, but it's doing really well, and the smell is just, oh my gosh. The leaves on it, I've not ever grown it before, so I mean, I never knew, you know, how that was, but it is doing really well, and I'm very excited about that. So back here as well, I did plant some more beans, and these are just like provider beans and top crop, so just like a regular green bean that you would get from the store. Also, I was not going to this year, but I just went ahead and decided to do it. I did plant some okra this year. So do 2 different types of okra, just so I can just go ahead and have it in case. I mean, whether it's to give it away or not. Now this is my red mustard greens that looks like a intruder just came through and just pretty much ate it. I knew I wasn't going to use it because it had so many bugs on it, so I do have to treat it. But I did come out here and go ahead and allow some airflow to come through, so I pulled a lot of the surrounding and left the middle. As long as the middle is intact, it'll continue to grow. Red mustard greens grow extremely huge, but it was shading out a lot of the products that I have in here that need shade, but I didn't want them to stop the growth. And what I mean by that is I have like giant spinach in here, and it's shading it out, so I had to kind of come in here and cut it back. Also, I have onions throughout. Marigolds, sorry if the sun is like super bright. I also have in this raised bed Swiss chard. So I love Swiss chard, and thus far it seems to be growing really well. Again, I apologize for all the sun, but it seems to be going really well with the Swiss chard. And I also have in this bed, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, I have grapes growing too. So grapes growing in this raised bed as well. In addition to that, I do have parsley growing, because remember I said I have parsley in another raised bed. So I do have parsley growing in this raised bed, and I have jalapeno peppers growing in this raised bed. Again, it's so sunny. I hope you guys can see this. And I came out here and noticed that I have some jalapeno peppers that are growing as well. So that's what's all in this raised bed. So that is raised bed number 4. I have a total of 6. So over here, my neighbor was nice enough to give me a bunch of tomato cages so that I can, you know, stake my tomatoes and everything up, because I was only growing beefsteak tomatoes this year, nothing more, you know, mainly because it just got out of control. So in this raised bed, I do have cucumbers, so a variety of cucumbers here growing, cucumber plants, and also have, let's see if you can see it, bell pepper plants. And I did something this year that I haven't done before, and that's planted sunflower seeds. So I have a variety of sunflower seeds because I'm trying to get over my phobia of the way that they look. So what better way to do that than to just grow them and get over it. So if you guys can see that, again, it's hard for me to see it, but a bunch of sunflower seeds here. Next to that, I do have tomatoes, and I do have to come out here and prune those a little bit to keep the leaves off the ground. And that's another beefsteak. And I have volunteer red mustard greens coming up here. I did plant some basil, purple basil there, if you guys can see that. Also, this front portion was where I had some garlic growing, so I pulled it and figured, okay, well, I haven't started any lettuce or anything like that, so let me just go ahead and do it. So back up in here, the new growth, last week I went ahead and planted a bunch of lettuce, and some more Swiss chard. So it's growing, it's coming up, so hopefully it does well. And then over here I have some herbs growing, and this is my sage. So it's doing really good. It's nice and bushy. Also, I decided to put rosemary in the garden this year versus in the actual containers. And then back here, I have some French thyme and some cilantro because I love cilantro. Now, I also attempted to grow some ghost peppers again, so it has not really done anything as of yet here. So that's bed number 5. And then the last bed is my strawberry bed. This has been such a struggle for me, mainly because I will get strawberries, but I have to fight for the strawberries. So this particular side is doing really well, and I had to purchase marigolds, but when it turned cold, they, you know, just pretty much went south, but they're coming back. So as you can see, like, I'm getting strawberries, but the thing about it is I have them covered normally. I'm going to cover them back up because it's getting kind of hot, just to protect it from the heat, because strawberries, to my knowledge, if it gets over 85 degrees, they stop producing. So it's been producing, and as you can see, is one back there. So I'll cover those up in a minute, but I do need to water everything. So the bed, you know, wasn't that full, so I purchased some more starts from my gardener, and that way I can get more production going here for the strawberries. So as you can see, the new bare roots are coming up for the strawberry plants that I purchased from them, and I have some that, let me get that out of there, it's weed, that have not just thus far come up, but for the most part they are coming up and they're attempting to produce. So also trying to keep the slugs out of my strawberries as well. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me in the garden. That's pretty much all that I have thus far, and I'll be adding some more things to the garden here shortly, but this is everything that I have that I'm starting in my garden this year, and hopefully I'll be able to show you the new fruit trees. I may do like an unboxing video, a short video of how everything looks when you get your fruit trees from Stark Brothers. That way you can kind of see exactly how everything looks. And maybe you guys, if you're thinking about having dwarf trees and you don't want a big tree in the middle of your yard, you could possibly think about getting a dwarf tree. So that's all that I have for you. Oh, and I also want to say thank you to my wonderful daughter. She did purchase a large variety of seeds for me, and I couldn't be happier. So they did come from my gardener. For Mother's Day, she purchased a lot of seeds for me. So I'm super psyched about that. Of course, you know, I've already went through them and planted some stuff extra. So, but yeah, but that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for taking the time out with me. If you have not already, like and subscribe for more updates. And you guys, I hope you have a great growing year. If you're thinking about starting a garden, I would tell you to do it. There's nothing like fresh produce that you can control, as far as there is not any, you know, pesticides or anything like that. The taste is completely different. I encourage you to even just start a herb garden or something to that sort, just to kind of get you started. So once you start that herb garden, there's a big warning. You're going to want to grow more and more, but the taste of a tomato from the garden is something out of, oh my gosh, book. So I would definitely tell you guys to try and attempt, even if you're going to do containers. You can get the containers from Amazon. Try to start at least doing something healthy, as far as, you know, your vegetables, or if you want to do fruit. There is nothing like a fresh strawberry from the garden that's warm, and you have lots of juice and everything flowing through it, so it's really good. Well, again, guys, I could talk about this all day long, but thank you so much for taking the time out with me for this. Maybe next time I'll make an appearance on camera, maybe when I feel a little bit more rested. But again, thank you guys so much for joining me on my channel, Gardening with Tammy. You guys have a great Memorial weekend, and I'll see you guys at another time.